So Artifex all started in Antwerp, where we were challenged with a large labor gap in the harbor of Antwerp. It's a very big port in Europe, just like Rotterdam. And they need specific technical labor profiles, and they were not getting filled. So they, of course, in that case, labor market looks to schools, to education, and they say, oh, we need more STEM, we need more science, technology, engineering, mathematics, and give us these profiles. Make sure that we get these people. But it was very unclear for us. What do people want? What does the labor market need? And in the first part of our project, Heidi and Suzanne went to labor market to ask all these questions about what do they need, and we came to a framework, a nice STEM competences framework that we were going to use to train our teachers and students in. So that's the first part of the presentation, where Heidi will focus on that. But then in the second part, we saw that it wasn't so easy to train the teachers in these competences because, well, everybody has a different level. Everybody has different strengths and different abilities to work with machinery in Fablabs, in maker spaces, or in machine rooms or whatsoever. And it was very difficult. So because of that, and that's the beauty of research, we had to invent an assessment tool, a self-assessment tool. That was never really planned, but it became a very big part of the next step in our project. And with that assessment tool, which we will come into part 2, you will see that we were able to link all the workshops, all the lessons that we made to the specific levels of the participants, of the teachers or future teachers, in which they can work on whatever they want to improve, whatever skill set or competences they want to improve. And in the third and final part of the presentation, Heidi will show us the insight we got in the different kinds of Fablabs. So also, this was never really meant to be discovered, but it's nice when you discover something to go deeper into that there are different frameworks that we could implement on all the Fablabs and maker spaces that we worked with. Heidi, I'm going to give you I'll try to give you the controls now. Can you?
Yes, I will ask permission.
Yeah.
I have requested it now.
So now I will try to check here you go, check the chat for questions.
Okay. So maybe a little bit of background. Students need to be prepared to be future STEM professionals. And with that, I mean that we are faced with a lot of challenges nowadays. For example, climate change, shrinking resources, aging population. And we need enough students who want to be in a STEM profession to solve these kind of problems. But now we don't have enough people with a good STEM background, and there's also need for more quality of education in STEM. So there are some specific skills which are needed, specific STEM skills, but also other skills, more general skills. And I will go in depth to these skills now. How can I control your screen, Yves? Because when I press enter, I don't get the next slides.
Oh, I did approve, so it's not working yet.
No, I'm afraid not.
Okay,
yeah, you can just go to the next slide and
yeah, I will do it like this.
But I see that I have control, but my buttons here are not working to move it forward. So okay, I will just go ahead then now. So we had some interviews with STEM professionals, what came forward was that there were several transversal skills that were very important when it comes to STEM professions. For example, the willingness to learn, problem-solving skills, creativity, ability to communicate, being proactive, sense of entrepreneurship, being able to work in group, and flexibility. Next slide, please. Then we have several quotes that I want to present you. For example, this is Martin. He's a metal worker from the Czech Republic, and he says that every day he meets a new challenge, and every day new technologies can come forward. So he says students have to be prepared for the upcoming era of automation and robotization of manufacturing enterprises. So lifelong learning will be very important in this case. Then we have Martin. Then we have Elpinikis. She is a science communicator from Greece. And she said that it's very important to have enough transferable skills. So you don't only have to be very good in the science itself to communicate it to others, but you also have to be good at organization skills, creativity, and be able to work in group. She says you have to be able to be both part of a team and to be a leader. So she said actually that you have to be very flexible. So flexibility is also an important transversal skill. Then Anton, who is an industrial engineer from Sweden, says that it is crucial to be socially talented. You have to be able to communicate with people from different backgrounds. Anton works in a company where they make molds for high-tech equipment, both in the automotive sector for cars, but also like iPhone parts and so on. So he says that he has to communicate with the production team, but also with the CEO of the company. So it's very important to be good at communication. Then we have Veselin, who is a computer scientist and entrepreneur. He makes robot lessons for children. And he has to be very creative, very inventive, because he always have to search for new materials. For example, he has a dough, kind of dough who conducts electricity where the kids can play, and then they make a star sky which lights up. This is an example that is very, very innovative, very nice. And he says, problem solving is mainly about developing new solutions. You have to develop your own skills, not only by using new tools, but in a personal way as well. So it's important to be always be willing to be innovative. Then you have Kevin, who is a construction engineer from Belgium, and he is actually the yard leader. And he says you have to communicate very clearly in order to minimize misunderstandings and extra communications. So when you have a miscommunication, it can cost a lot of money. Wrong products can be used. So it's very important to always be clear in your communication, also in STEM. And then indeed we have Emma, who is a process engineer from Sweden, and she said that you have to be open-minded. You cannot be stubborn, and you have to be able to change your mind. You have to be willing to learn new things. Then we have Jiří, who is an electrician from the Czech Republic. And he says, as an electrician, you have to be creative and be able to improvise. It's also a very dangerous job. So safety is important, but you also have to have a creative mind. When you face a solution, you have to actively problem solve. Then you have Andrea, who is a mechanical engineer, and he says, you can't be automatically satisfied with your current work life. You have to be open to innovation. Mika is a biochemist who collects tissues, for example, cancer tissues. And she says that you have to be able to think along with the researchers, because you have to be proactive. You have to know, okay, this tissue can be used in that kind of research and so on. So it's important to be to step forward also as a STEM professional. Paola, who is a biochemist from Italy, says that it's important to learn about methodology. So not only use the information that is in textbooks, the available data, but also know what is behind it, the reasoning behind it. And Sveta, who is an agronomist from Bulgaria, says it's important to not only learn when you in college, but also after you finish university. So to conclude, STEM-specific competences are very important, of course, otherwise you can't do a STEM profession, but you also need non-STEM specific competences, which are called generic competences. And in this presentation, I will call them 21st century competences. We will talk further about problem solving, creativity, critical thinking, group work, and entrepreneurship. So these are the umbrella concepts that I talked about in the interviews before. These crucial competences, these 5 competences, can be stimulated through the research cycle and the design cycle. These cycles, they stimulate students to use these competences. For example, in the research cycle, you have to be critical, you have to think about your own data, and you have to be able to look for new solutions. Also in the design cycle, you have to be very creative, for instance, and to be good at problem solving. So these are just examples that can be acquired through the research and design cycle. Where can you learn this research and design cycle? Actually, you can learn it everywhere, but especially in open learning environments, as they yeah, you can leave the questions in the chat indeed. But it's open learning environments actually invite people to learn these competences. The learning curve is quite steeper in an open learning environment, as there's more freedom to be creative and so on. Whereas just in a traditional context where the teacher stands in front of the classroom, it's not that easy to go into these competences. So that's why open learning environments are ideal. But these open learning environments also require something from the teachers. And we wanted to know, are the teachers ready to teach, to coach, to behave in such an open learning environment? And we did that through research of University of Antwerp in collaboration with Karlstad University. And we asked Swedish and Belgian teachers how confident they felt to, on the one hand, stimulate these 21st century competences, and on the other hand, to behave in open learning environments with high-tech technology. So their confidence in the 21st century competences was actually quite okay, as you can see, but there were a lot of individual differences. So there were teachers who were very confident about it, but there were also teachers who were not that confident about it. And also, every teacher, whether they were confident or not confident, they expressed the desire to learn more and to develop their competences more. So there was still a need to have something that could help them in behaving in this kind of, to stimulate the competences in students. Yeah, we had a very low, very high confidence indeed. And then the confidence of teachers in using technology and teaching in open learning environments was also investigated, and there we saw, which is very interesting, that using technology was not something that teachers felt quite confident about. So there was a very high need to be more sure to work with this kind of technology. So they were not always sure how to behave in this kind of environments. As I said, I don't know what to do in these environments. I don't know the technology very well. I just make sure students behave during their visit. I want to support students in the learning process. I also see it as an education for myself. So they actually wanted more like a more active way, but they were not always sure. And it was more easy to don't do that. Eva, I thought you wanted to say something also about this topic.
Yes, sorry, I was just letting new participants in. So that's why.
Welcome.
That's why I also put it in the chat. So people who didn't get the introduction for questions, please drop them in the chat. yeah, I just wanted to say about this that we saw a big difference in countries also. In Sweden and Belgium, when people visit from school, from within school, visit a Fablab, they're very not used to being in control of the class. They think, oh, we go to a Fablab, and the people there will entertain the children. Which is a mindset we've been working on in Fablab Plus already for 5 years, that we want to let the teachers take control of the lesson. We just see them in advance, make sure they understand how to use the machinery, and tell them we're always here for troubleshooting, but please give the lesson yourself. We have something in Belgium, which is called, it's a very big facility, it's called Technopolis, where you can come and have a taste of technology. And there, the teachers all go to the coffee room, and the children can go to the machines and are introduced to the machines and entertained by the people who work there. Of course, in a Fablab or a makerspace, it doesn't work like that. And we need to educate them a bit. But when we visited other countries that were in the project, we saw that in the Czech Republic, everything works like the Belgian Technopolis. Yeah, they have like 5 big tech centers in the Czech Republic that function not the same way as a Fablab, but have the same mission to introduce this technology and this maker education with young children. But there, teachers are not used to being in control. They're used to just dropping off the children there, and they will be taught and entertained by the people who work in these large facilities. And that was a large mind shift within this project. And that's what I wanted to add.
I see that we have a question from Ivan. Ivan, you ask, if I understand correctly, you are talking about activities outside school environments. So teachers visit Fablabs, right? Ivan, that's right. That's actually what we mean. So we talk about open learning environments. These can be all kinds of environments, a museum, a Fablab, a library. But in this case, we talk especially about high-tech open learning environments, which are the Fablabs. And schools can actually come and visit the Fablabs, but also industry can visit the Fablabs. And in the end of the presentation, I will come back to it and show all the different actors who can be present in the Fablab and who can contribute and exchange information. Who prepares it? It depends. Sometimes you can use a workshop like we will present in this presentation, and then the Fablab instructors and the teacher work together. Sometimes there's nothing prepared and you just go to a Fablab to play or to tinker. You can also go in your free time. So it depends actually on the Fablab itself and on the preparations.
Yes. But in what we're presenting now, we have 45 workshops linked to our workshop generator, in which if you say you're a teacher and you say, I want to do something on this topic and my students are in this age group and their level is very low threshold technology level or very advanced technology level, you can, by clicking the buttons, which I will show in I think 15 minutes or so, you can just get a workshop already made by the team that worked together on this project. And you can take this to your Fablab or makerspace and say, oh, I would like to do this, and everything, all the material, everything you need, all the pedagogical tips are in there.
Mm-hmm. So I think this is also a good point to go further with the presentation, because that's exactly what we wanted to talk about. So teachers can be quite insecure about how they can teach, how they can coach and behave in the open learning environment. But so they need a kind of, they need some help to do that. And you can go to the next slide if you want, Eve. So they need insights in their own strengths and weaknesses first, of course, but they will also need some training and they have to make an informed decision about their professional development. And therefore we help them with several tools that we developed. And the first thing I wanted to talk about was the self-assessment tool. In the self-assessment tool, Eve will show you immediately how it works. You just have to fill in some questions. Then next, you get your results. You can also compare your own results to the other results. And then you also have a graphical representation of your results. So you can see, okay, there I see I'm quite good at group work, but I can use some extra guidance in how to stimulate creativity within my students. And then there's something very great, I think. You can just click, give me my my workshop, and then yeah, that's something, voila. So you can just click, give me my workshop, generate some workshop, and then the workshop generator makes a workshop that is specifically suitable for you. So where you can improve or where your strengths and weaknesses are, these workshops are especially are fit for your situation. So that's really great because the teachers in this way have an adapted workshop that challenges them at their level. And they also can change a little bit in their desired level. If they want something else, they can just click some buttons and they get a new opportunity, or they get a new results. So the result of this magnificent workshop generator is that teachers are more sure about their own competences and that they feel more, yeah, they have more self-efficacy. So they just know better what to do and how to behave, and yeah, they can do some very good workshops with their students. I think the presentation ended. Yves, can you?
Yeah, I'm trying to go to the website while you were talking. I'll try to ease into the website.
Okay, great. Great.
Yeah, the share screen is giving me difficulties.
Okay. So now Yves will show you how it works in reality.
Yes. You can see the screen or not?
Yes.
Okay, because I'm not seeing it.
We can see it.
Okay, that's so weird. I can still see the presentation, but you can see it. So I'm just gonna quickly.
Let us know in the chat if it's not clear for some people.
I can see it again myself. Okay.
Yes, I can see it.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Okay. So this is what you see when you go to the website and the self-assessment tools. And if you fill in, here you can choose your language. If you fill in all these questions, you will get a code and you will get your calculation of your result. What moment in time, this moment, what your level is. Now, because few results, calculate. This would be my result. And I could click here for a workshop based on this result. But you can see already here that I'm good at teaching an informal learning environment because I worked in a Fablab for 5 years. So that would be like kicking in an open door. But I'm not so good at the entrepreneurship thing. Now, when I want to see a workshop, and that's why we tinkered a bit with this, it is possible to find absolutely no workshops. And that's why I showed you this. You would say, oh, for my specific case, there is no workshop. Now, if we just add a few levels here, you will see immediately that 5 workshops will emerge. We can tinker a bit with different subjects and workshops will disappear. And if we click on the age groups, there's also an added filter. Now, if we just download this, I don't know if you see that, what's happening, or are you still on the website, Heidi?
No, we see the PDF actually.
You see the PDF, great. You will see that it's a lesson plan. It's a European-based lesson plan because we work together with 5 other European countries. And you will see that the level is intermediate. The preparation will take half an hour. The duration will be 3 hours. It's all the material you need. Some tips about group size, range, about educational areas. And if I just go to it, you will see that it's just your regular lesson preparation plan. Now at the end, it's where it becomes interesting. There you have tips. Tips, not tips that we made ourselves, but tips, feedback that we got from testing these workshops in the 5 different countries. We also see here, how do you transfer this from a Fablab to a not Fablab, to a classroom? Well, you don't need a Fablab to do this. It helps, but it's not necessary. How do you evaluate this? Like that. Are there any nice online links? Not about this workshop, but we can give you a list of all the materials that you need, and you can take this to your Fablab managers or and see if they have everything, or they can get it at stock when you visit to do your workshop. So, okay, try to get. This is the platform. If you still want more workshops, there's a link at the bottom that'll take you to even more partner sites, other websites. But like I said before, we have about 45 workshops. Okay, now I need to go back to the presentation. Yes, I'm getting better at this.
Yeah.
So a little bit more on the workshops. Like Heidi said, we focus on the 7 STEM goals that we got from the asking and doing the research according to the labor markets. It's stimulating creativity, critical thinking, problem solving, group work, the informal learning environment, like going to a Fablab, the use of the machinery, and the stimulation of the entrepreneurship. Now, like you saw a few minutes ago, you get all the info about practicalities in the preparation that you can download. Then you can do your own preparation. You can visit a Fablab or not, and you can test it with your students. But we use the design cycle process, like, excuse me, Heidi already mentioned. There's an orientation phase, the design phase, the making, the testing, the getting the direct feedback, the evaluation, and then back again into the iterative process. We give you pedagogical tips. We give you, if we found them, content links, but there's still the complex thing of assessing your students' starting level. So we went to from a basic to a complex problem-solving level scale. We call the very low threshold the recipe formula. It's our bronze level. When you just have a low threshold, you're at the tinkering. We call it the silver level. When you have an average problem-solving level, we call it the gold level. And when you're advanced, when you can do problem solving and we can give you limitations, then we call it the platinum level. A little funny feedback. We started off using bird names, but that became too confusing. So we went to the spirit of the Olympics to medals.
Here we have a question from the public. So Yvonne asks, how teachers can contribute with their own workshop, who decides the workshops that are added to the system, and who classifies the workshop, so provides the metric for the recommended system.
Yeah. So everybody can add workshops. When we were in the development phase, all of the partners decided about what level they would have. So we would come together with 5 representatives from the Fablabs and discuss the workshop, and we would add it to a level. Now, while the platform is finished, it's just Andy and me who would assess the level. Because the project is finished, we have 2 people maintaining the platform, so it's no longer all the countries that have a say in what level it will have. So it's just Bulgaria and Belgium. And what is there a final question, Heidi? I think I skipped one.
So the first question was how can teachers contribute with their own workshops?
Yeah, so if you mail us or anyone or any email address on the platform a nice workshop, we can put it in the uniform schabloon. I'm looking for the English word.
The frame.
The frame in the
template.
Framework. Template. Yeah, we put it in the right template.
Good suggestions.
And then we can give it its colors in it's bronze in entrepreneurship, and it's platinum in problem solving, and we can discuss that with the person who made it if he agrees in our metric system. And then Andy from Adam Smith University College can put it on the platform. So it's simple as that. Sorry, I can't see the chat. Is this answering the question?
Ivan says thanks. So I suppose that answered his question.
All right, cool. Okay, back to the presentation. I'm going to give a few examples of the different levels, because we did this already a couple of times, this dissemination, this presentation, and it's always with the levels where people get a little bit mixed up. It's not so much with the first and the last level, because very low threshold and very advanced, that's easy, but it's the number 2 and the number 3, the low threshold and the advanced level that sometimes are difficult to understand. So it says it already on the screen. This is a recipe style. This is me when I'm cooking. I'm not really a tinkering cook, which will be the next level. When I'm cooking, I just take the recipe, I follow, I need this much ingredients, this much grams of pepper, I just follow all the instructions. I cook, I make it, it's the right time, the time that says on the page, on the recipe, and the result is edible. Am I a great cook? No, but like I said, you can eat it. This is also with this level. You get an instruction list, you read the instructions, you can recognize it, and you can make it. It's like ready-made Lego kits that you use in primary school or in secondary school at the beginning. And we also have some workshops like that. Very good, very low threshold. Go into a Fablab, go into your classroom, and do some stuff there. I have let's see if this works. Okay, yeah. So here you can see me reading the instructions, getting the stuff I need in the Fablab and putting it all together. You guys don't have any sound in, or do you have sound? Because I don't hear any sound. Okay. So normally it has some background sounds, but Zoom doesn't allow it apparently. Here the assignment was to make a hot air balloon, and it has to float to the top of the construction. We put a fan at the bottom with some plexi around it, so the students can make a hot air balloon. Now, when we go through the different levels, you will see that with tinkering, we just give them the assignment and the ability to take all the material they want. And when we go to advanced, we let them research a lot more about balloons. And in the advanced, we say, well, the construction needs to have a propeller. It cannot just be a hot air balloon. It has to be a propeller on it. So that's what we said, you'll have limitations. So it floated. with tinkering, which I already said, the expected outcome is known. You get direct feedback. You make it, it doesn't work. Oh, let's change some stuff, go back. The thing that happens most was their hot air balloon was too light, so it flew out. So they had to put in some extra weight, problem solved. So they need to respond to the problems that arise. Assignment, because presentations can be boring and we're already talking for half an hour, and to get your mind back on doing something, I would like you all to take 2 pieces of paper. Do you have paper nearby? Is that possible?
Any particular size?
No, just a piece of paper. We're going to have, in the spirit of the just finished Olympics, the paper plane Olympics. Does everybody have a piece of paper?
Yes.
Okay. So, wait, we're not going to fold yet. We're going to make this, but because to make it a bit easy and because we have limited time, these are the instructions. You may fold your paper plane 9 times. The first time is in the middle, then the tips, then the flaps again. I will leave it on this page. And at the end, please pull back the tip, cut it off or pull it to the middle. So you get what you see here, a blunt tip. And that was, that's just to make it a little bit more safe and complicated. I'll give you 1 minute to do this starting from now. And then I would like everybody to put on, because it's a small group, to put on their cameras, and we'll see who wins the paper plane Olympics. We'll see whose plane is in the air the longest.
Maybe then we can finish presentation and put on cameras, because now we can see each other.
Yeah. All right. I'm gonna stop sharing so we can see each other.
You can put it on view gallery, everyone, then you can see all participants.
So, Daniel, Emmanuel, and Harshal, are you with us? Yeah. Do you have a plane? All right.
I don't have a plane.
So, okay, so it's going to be, I've done this already a couple of times, so it's going to be difficult to see, but it's still as much fun. Please, I'll say your name, state your country, because it's the Olympics, and try to throw your plane inside of the camera. Heide, I'll start off with you. Heide is from Belgium.
Yes, Belgium. It landed against my closet, so it's very far.
Okay. Claire, where are you from?
Hi, I'm Claire from Australia.
All right.
Yeah, we'll see if this actually works or not. I've never been very successful at these. Whoop. I do
Okay.
know there's something with like circular ones or something where like I can't do it because you got to like throw like a football player or something, and I can't throw them properly. But there's something where the best paper plane design is actually a circular design that if you throw it like you throw American football, apparently it goes really, really, really far. But I can't throw properly. I'm hopeless at throwing.
Okay.
But there's a tip for you if people ask you in a paper
Right.
plane
Yeah,
competition.
We'll do another paper plane challenge in about 5 minutes, but there I'm not going to spoil that. We'll come back to that. Ivan.
Hello, I'm Ivan from Finland, and this is my plane. Let's see how far it goes. Whoop, it hits the windows.
Okay, very nice. Thank you. Emmanuel.
Hi, I'm Emmanuel from Kenya. This is my small plane. Let's see if it's gonna fly. Wow.
All right, how far do you think it went?
It went for around, that is 4 meters from where I'm sitting. Yeah.
Well,
Yeah, okay.
thank you. Daniel.
Sorry, like I mentioned, I'm just participating, but I'm busy working on something, so I was unable to.
Oh, okay, no problem. Then
So sorry about that.
I'll throw for you then.
Yeah, thank you very much. I really appreciate it.
Which country am I throwing for?
Nigeria.
Nigeria. Okay, let's go.
Thank you very much.
Okay, try to give you. Let's see.
Oh,
Well, it's hit the wall. Okay, so thank you very much. As you just saw, this is very nice to do with children. It's very low threshold, but you can take it up a notch. And that's what we will see in advanced. I'm now quickly going to try and share my screen again to go back to the presentation. First, we have the getting to the real deal level. So now we're starting with problem solving. The expected outcome is known, but you have to test it more. You have to make it, conceptualize, get your feedback, go back to the drawing board, try it again. And there has to be some thinking before you act. With the previous two levels, you get an instruction list or you do some tinkering. There is not much thinking or preparation going on. You give them something and they start. The first two levels are very nice to use with primary school students and teachers, but it's not what Bloom would call higher level learning. It's much more informal, lower level learning. If we would refer to Bloom's taxonomy, then that would start now, the higher level learning. So we want them to design something as a separate phase. So there is predicting, carrying out, using, and integrating. And if we go back to the example from the first hot air balloon recipe I showed you, we would get something like this. Thinking, looking it up. Conceptualizing and designing it. And after the design, also making a list of what the materials would be that you would need to make it. So a bag, some straws, some cords, and a cup. Then of course you have to test it, but the air can't pass underneath. So the cords were a bit too short, so I needed to make some adjustments. In the last phase, the complex problem solving, the expected outcome is unknown. Process is the design process. So we want them to discover, conceptualize, create, use, judge or evaluate or reflect on what they made. Here we told them to make something that would fly to the, so not a hot air balloon anymore, that would fly to the top, but it would have to use a propeller. And this takes a lot more time, of course, because whenever we do the recipe style workshop with the students that are like 10 or 11 years old, it's something we can do in 50 minutes or an hour. This workshop with a group of students took 3 to 4 hours. So you have to give them like an hour and a half just to do the lookup phase, the designing. And then the other hour and a half is the making and the testing and the adjusting. So it takes a lot longer, but it's higher level learning. So you can expect them to learn more from it. Okay, now if we go back to our paper planes, a complex problem solving would be something like, please make paper plane that if we throw it, it would come back. So something that if you throw it would float to the front and then flip and come back, like a boomerang plane. And when you look that up on the internet, you get something like this. So it's like Claire said a few moments ago, when you want to throw something really far, you need something circular. When you go online and you look up boomerang plane or plane that returns, a paper plane, excuse me, that returns by itself, this is something that you find, and we tested a couple of designs. This one works, but as you see, it's not very clear. It's rather difficult. Still, I would like to give you a little bit more time to do something like this again. And I will leave this, and then because it's a small group, we can come back and see if what the result is. I will try to refrain from this exercise myself now, because that would be unfair, because I made this a couple of times already, and that would be an unfair advantage. But I'm very curious to see what you guys can do in about 3 minutes. I'll leave this on screen, because this, as an expert on doing this workshop, is the best we found online. But if you already have some experience and you know a good link with an even better design, please mail it to me, because this is so much fun with children when you make them look for it yourself. And we have something, a workshop like this on our platform. They can buy this as a yeah, we say a joker, a totem. They get something when they start a mission, and when they can't get any further, they can exchange it for extra information, and that extra information is this. So good luck. Okay, so you're halfway or 3 minutes. Not to give you any stress. All right, that was my timer. Okay. Heidi, can you show me what you have for the Belgians?
I think I have failed dramatically.
Okay, we're very curious.
It did go like that.
Okay, but it didn't return.
Not really, no.
Okay. Claire from Australia, we have high expectations because that's the country that invented the boomerang, I guess. So.
Yes, but trying to fold the paper I have is a little thick, but also the origami. I'm like, oh gosh, I should have remembered all my origami that I used to do. And I was like, no, it's all gone, but I'll give it a go.
All right, all right.
And let me just turn this background. We'll see.
Okay.
But I think my other one came back better than that.
Okay, okay. Nice try.
Yes.
Ivan from Finland.
I don't know what I did, but let's see. Nah, it just went far away.
Okay, but what I saw already with Heide's, Claire's, and yours, it went immediately down.
Yeah,
So
it went down quickly, yeah.
maybe you should try and throw it upside down. Maybe then it will loop back. But okay. Emmanuel, are you still with us? Did you make a plane?
I'm unable to make the plane.
Okay. So we can
give it a shot. I give it a shot another time.
Okay. Then we will continue with the presentation.
I'm still stuck on the initial stage.
Okay. But if you guys like this, you should definitely look up the workshop Paper Planes, which is on the platform, and it starts off with tinkering and it goes to higher levels. Okay, share the screen. So I would like to show you a little bit more workshops, just to give you some teasers of what's on the platform, and a nice one to do with secondary school children is Our House. You focus on problem solving and research-based learning, and you start off with a group and you say, well, I'd like you to make a house. These are the available materials for you, and it needs this many rooms. It can be a minimum this big, a maximum this big, and for the rest, that's everything we give them. But then the problems will arise. So you say, oh, I'm sorry, I forgot to tell you, but it's a flood sensitive area, so it needs to be on a pole. So that there's a problem with the soil. So they have to go back to the drawing board and adapt their house so it can rest on this pole. When they did this and everybody passed it, they will have already had to do some calculations with the gravity point of their house and with the different angles. But then you come back and you tell them, oh, I'm sorry, there's a lot of wind. So there's our fan again. And they'll need to go back to the drawing board to work on aerodynamics, stability, their ability to withstand the wind. And when they finished with that, they had to come back again, and we told them, it's too dark. People are getting depressed. We need more light that's able to get into the house. You have to make more windows, which will, of course, everything they adapt now will affect their wind resistance and their gravity point. And like, it's a very simple workshop with 4 problems. But because of all the adaptations and always going back and going through the same iterative process, it will take about 3 or 4 hours for them to finish this. So if that's too long for you to do in a Fab Lab or in a classroom, you need variations. And we also had that on with the Our House workshop on the platform. We have a variation that stimulates entrepreneurship. So that's more aimed to the different roles of the group. So more calculating about the light and the materials they get, but also about budget. And so it's not problem-based, but it's more budget and material-based. We have a short version in which we stimulate the problem solving and the group work, but we give them all the problems at once, so they don't have to go back to the drawing board every time again. And then we have the technology-based workshop that's more focused on implementing the techniques, so the designing and the practical solutions, but also using all the equipment in a Fablab, like a 3D printer or a laser cutter. So it's trial and error, what works and what doesn't work, but it's not focused on the thinking and the calculating, but more on using the machines. I have a movie clip for you which require me to stop sharing this, where we did it in a classroom and not in a Fablab. And it looked a bit screen like this. Oh, we saw this already. I had music this time. You guys have music as well?
A little
Could
bit of
only-
background.
Yeah, just a little bit. I think it's because we're hearing it through your microphone. That's what we were hearing.
Yeah, probably. Right. Next workshop is from Greece, ship design. I will go through this very quickly because you get the gist by now, but this is focused on the design process and problem solving, and they make ships. So they have to understand buoyancy. So of course we'll need a water tank and some dynamometers, but you can also do that like we see in the screenshots with software. Now, if you're not going for the software solution, then you need to understand your the limitations of your materials. So if you have skewers, drinking straws, plastic foils, baking paper, aluminum foil, or wrapping film, you need to understand how these materials will affect your design. So it's all about testing and trial and error and going back and forth with your how much your boat will float. So from theory to practice, here you see that the students are testing it in their water tanks. And when they're okay with their design, they go and implement it. And they write it down, all the steps they went through, and they will show their design to the teacher. Now, the different variations here have different angles. You have the focus on design angle, which is very much software based. And then it's very nice to have a Fablab nearby, because when your design is finished, you can go to Fablab, 3D print your design and test it there. But when you focus on problem solving and collaboration and working under pressure, so teams against other teams, you can do that anywhere. You don't need to go to a Fablab for that. And when you focus on the iterative process, the design process, well, you can do that anywhere as well. It's just what you would like to focus on that will affect your evaluation and the process your students go through. Now, there's a last thing I didn't talk about yet concerning the workshops, and that's the difference in environment, in your learning environment. We have workshops that were made especially for a Fablab or a makerspace, and we have workshops that are especially made for a classroom. Now, I say it like we intended it, workshops made for one and workshops made for the other. But what did we learn after doing this project? That any workshop can be adjusted or adapted to a Fablab workshop or a classroom workshop. So now all the workshops on the platform have variations for Fablabs or classrooms. And some don't need a lot of adjustments, but others do. And I will show you a nice movie clip about that. First, a little bit more information about the workshop. It's a sugar transport, a problem-solving workshop, and you need to get 2 kilograms of sugar across the room. You make teams, and we did it in a makerspace, in a Fablab, and we did it in a classroom. Now, in a Fablab, it's very easy. There is a lot of material there, so you just say, here are 2 kilograms of sugar. This is your team. You can use anything you want, get it across the room, but you can't toss it. You can't carry it, just put it on somewhere, and it has to end up at the other side. In a classroom, it's exactly the same, but you need to provide a lot of material. And you will see that in the clips that I dragged a lot of material with me to show it and let them work with. Okay, try and get them to share the screen. Can't seem to share my movie player. It's weird. Heidi, are you seeing anything?
No.
No, okay, that's annoying. No, it doesn't recognize my movie player. Oh, I'm gonna try and troubleshoot that. Can you maybe take over and I'll show it at the when I got it to work?
Yes, you mean the presentation?
Yeah.
Okay.
I have it online somewhere, so I'll try and get it online, and then
yeah. Okay.
That's annoying.
Okay, maybe I will talk about experiences from the teachers with the workshop then.
Okay, I'll try.
Okay.
I'll try and share that screen again.
Yeah. Okay, I will already tell something about the reactions of the teachers. So students mostly react very enthusiastically, the teacher said. So we asked the teacher who tested out the workshops how the reactions were, and we saw that the students were very intrinsically motivated. They really enjoyed doing the workshops, which was really nice. But also we saw that the fun assignments are also intellectually challenging. So it's not because it's a fun activity that it's just a simple activity. For instance, one of the workshops was to make a pinball machine, which was very enjoyable for the students. But it could also make it very difficult and intellectually challenging. For instance, they had to use recyclable materials, or they had to insert a 3D element, or an automotive element in the design of the pinball machine. So it can be very fun and very intellectually challenging. Also, we saw that students with learning difficulties in traditional educational contexts exhibited talents that were otherwise overlooked. So students who expressed more difficulties when they were in a traditional environment with the teacher standing in front of the classroom suddenly became very creative and were sometimes very good at problem solving, that even the teachers were surprised to see that the difficult ones were also very likely to be the ones who expressed more enjoyment and more talent in the open learning environments. They also said in the workshop there were no standard problems or situations, so they had to be very flexible. They also had to learn how to make mistakes themselves and to dive into the problem and to research how they could do better. Sometimes teachers said that assignments was more difficult than in a traditional environment because it requires an alternative approach. So instead of just evaluating the end product, it's also important to evaluate the process of making the product, because yeah, how do you measure creativity? How do you measure problem solving? So it's important to also look at all the steps that the people were taking, the students were taking, and also make use of comparative judgments. Group work could also be complicated, even though group work is very good for students to learn to each other and from each other. It could be complicated as sometimes not everyone had the same pace, so teachers had to look for solutions. Some groups get some more difficult instructions, or some group got extra assignments if they were very fast or faster than the other ones. The teachers also reported that both the presence and the absence of technology could be challenging. So yes, if they didn't have enough technology in their classroom, it was a problem, and then a Fablab can come in very handy. But when they were in the Fablab, they also said that it was also challenging because they don't know the machinery very, very well. And they had to rely on the Fablab instructors or the Fablab educators to help them, which is also the last point that I want to make here. The teachers can experience increased need for assistance, not only for the machinery, but also in an educational way. How do you present the workshops? How do you function as a coach and a teacher instead of just the teaching teacher? So when the Fablab instructors or the Fablab educators were present, it is of very high value for the teachers. So they get both the educational assistance and the technological assistance.
All right, thanks. And also still relevant for, I found movie clips, so I can show them now. Share screen. So here you can see the first group. They try to make a cannon to propel the sugar across the room, while the second group made a kind of floating or sliding boat. And the first group was finished too fast because they used the vacuum cleaner that was in the room to create a vacuum and to propel the sugar across the room. And they were finished in about 25 minutes. So we gave them some extra assignments, and they had to use robotics to get the sugar back, because you can't have one part of the team that's finished in 25 minutes while all the rest has still more than 2 hours to go. And because robotics need a lot of programming, well, they all finished about the same time frame. So they had different tries because they couldn't get far enough, but here they finished. So that was in our Fablab, and this was in a classroom. Same workshop, but I had to bring along a lot of materials for them to build with and to tinker with. So we used a lot of building sets from marble transportation kits, in which you use marbles to get from one point to the next. But of course, this is not with marbles, this is with sugar, so they had to be creative. These guys actually use marbles to get this gliding thing going on, but it was very difficult. All right. All right, for the last part of the presentation, Heide, how can Fablabs be organized? What did we discover?
Yes, so we asked a variety of policymakers of Fablab educators in Europe how their Fablab was organized. And then we developed the Fablab model, which is on the next slide, I guess. Indeed, so you see that the Fablab is in the center of the model, and this is the physical Fablab, but also the theoretical concept of a Fablab where people can freely come together and experiment, be creative with high technological material. We have different actors in the Fablab. So first we have the schools, which have a specific need. They need authentic learning experiences, and they need a place where they can do the research and design circle. As I already told in the beginning, there is a need for good qualified STEM workers, but they can also be, they can just be as good as their learning experiences were in school. So they need authentic learning experiences so that they are motivated and have real life context for their problems. On the second hand, you have the industry, which also has a need. The need of the industry is double. First, they need direct solutions for problems that they are experiencing now. And then the Fablab can be a place where they can build networks and come in contact with other people who can solve it. And second, they are also in need of a future STEM workforce who is very capable. So when more students are engaged in STEM education, it's also good news for them because it means that later on they will have good quality workers. And in the Fablab, these two actors can come together. When we look at the people who are present in the Fablab, we can look at the teachers and educators who teach and coach students, but are also learners themselves. And on the second hand, you have the students who can learn their specific STEM skills and transversal skills. Okay, I can go to the next one. Yes, so we have some good practices. The first one is Fablab Plus, which is located in Belgium. And there you see again the model, and you see that the school is in green and industry is in gray, which means that they are very much focusing on the educational aspect of a Fablab. So the Fablab is located in the school, but also it has room and time slots for students or schools to come in there and experiment and be creative and so on. And also they have very qualified staff who is experienced in educating and yes, working together with the teachers and having a STEM education background. So they have they really are focusing on good education in Fablabs. Then the second example is Karlstad Makers in Sweden. You see that in the model, the industry is in green, and that is because they are located in a kind of environment, industrial environment, where a lot of startups and commercial activities are coming together. So people who want to be entrepreneurs or who are starting up a company can have easily access to the Fablab and can exchange ideas or ask for help. So yes, they focus very much on the industry. The third example is Fablab Brno from the Czech Republic. And you see that they have both actors in green. And that is because, yes, they also focus on exchanging information within the industry, but they also have a school component, which means that they have the Fablab truck, which you see on the picture here. And this is a truck with high equipment, with high technological equipment, and they travel across the country to reach students who don't have easily access to such kind of environments, who are where the school is located far away, for example. And they also have activities and workshops with children. Then the next example is Fablab Castelfranco Veneto from Italy. And they also have both components in the Fablab, and they are actually specialized in robotics for children. So they have specific children workshops. Schools can come in there, but also industry is present in their Fablab. The next example is Fablab School from Denmark. And they are specialized in the concept teaching the teacher. So their Fablab is actually a place where teachers can come together and learn themselves to move the concept or the idea of the Fablab into the schools. So it's a sort of education place for the teachers, which is very interesting, of course. So these are just a few examples of Fablabs across Europe. If you want to know more about these topics, you can always go to the websites. Yes, Artifex, no, the second one, excuse me, teachstem.eu. Yeah, the second one. And then you can go to the section for policymakers. So you have two sections, the section for teachers, which is the workshop generator and the self-assessment tool, but you also have a second part for policymakers. And there you can find a lot of information about the things that I spoke about in this presentation. And the Fablab model and the examples that I talked about are presented in a more detailed way when you have interest in that part.
Thank you. I would now like to hear if any of you have any more questions about the presentation or about the different Fablab models we discussed at the end. Because from Fablab Plus, where I worked for 5 years, we are more and more switching to what Heidi talked about in the Danish and in Denmark Fablab model. We want to, for the last year, we tried to train the teachers more, because that mindset of just letting students and their teachers come to the Fablab and be entertained by the Fablab managers, they don't have that in Denmark. We saw from the exchange of good practices that in Denmark, and they have a lot of schools that go to Fablabs there, the teachers take over, and the teachers are guiding the students across the Fablab. And in our Fablab in Antwerp, that seems to be difficult. And we, for the last year, we've been more and more training on this collective teacher advocacy and training the teachers. And it was difficult due to Corona and the Corona measures, because we couldn't see large groups, but we did it in small groups for an entire year. And we like to continue with that. Ivan, you have a question.
Yeah, well, I have to agree with you in that the model that is working is the Danish model, where teachers take the lead, because in the end, I think that what we want to do is to integrate this team into the real education, not as an extra school activity or anything like that. So I think in that sense, teachers should take the lead. And actually, this is what we are doing also here in Oulu. We have this platform, STEAM in Oulu, that we learn. Actually, we were in Denmark. We learn from the people from Fablab DK, and we have similar approach here in Oulu. We have created a community of practice, and I have presented this community in this conference. But so if you want to discuss later about it and so on, we can have a further discussion. I can give you my contact. But my question is more about the future of the tool. So right now you say that the project is over. So I think that the work that you have done is amazing. I think this assessment tool is very important, especially for teachers that they want to organize activities in Fablab, because again, what we want is that the teachers are the ones who are leading those activities, and they can see how to adapt their curriculum to this learning. So what is the future of the tool? How are you planning to continue with that? Are you still keeping it outside the project? Is someone going to maintain it? Are you going to open it to the community?
Well, it is open to the community for a year and a half now, and we have because the budgets of the project are finished, we have from the municipal education in the city of Antwerp aligned the budget to the project for 5 more years, and that's a minimum. Because with dissemination, like an event like Fab 16, and we went also to the European Committee concerning maker movement, we try to bring this tool to as much people as we can, because there's been a lot of work and European resources put into it. So we'd like everybody to use it, of course. But we have an agreement with the Adam Smith University College, who are hosting it on their website, to keep hosting it for at least 5 more years. And if it's being used enough, and if people keep using it, we will keep sustaining it. Let's say, if we notice in 5 more years that it's not being used anymore, or it's not really growing, then we will stop putting funds into it. But, and that's something nice that I can add, maybe, we are already applying for a new project in which we want to work together with Denmark and also Italy and other European countries, if possible, to implement this, what Denmark is doing, yeah? to implement this way of working to teachers and schools, and getting them to visit more Fablabs using these kind of tools and information. So if that gets approved, then definitely be able to prolong it even longer.
Actually, if you're organizing a new project, if you're planning a new project, we will be interested in this discussion. Because from Fablab, from the University of Oulu in Finland, Fablab Oulu, and the city of Oulu, we want to extend our network also, and we want to share with others what we are doing here. So I think that we can have a strong contribution in the project. So I can try to discuss with you, and I don't know what is the state of the preparation of the project, and if we could join you.
Well, it would be we would try to have it ready by 2023. So September 2022, we would have to start finding official partners and getting everything there. And then in 2023, we would get the European project started again. That would be the idea.
Are you planning
so there's still time.
Erasmus Plus?
Erasmus Plus, yes.
Okay, so we would be interested. So I will try to reach you.
Perfect.
Later, and we can agree a meeting. We can discuss.
Yeah, great.
It would be good. I couldn't see it on the website, how we were talking about earlier, like that template, that format that you use. It would be useful for like people, if we are creating more of these lessons, to have that available for us to just download and fill out, to sort of, I suppose, save a step in the process for everyone.
Oh yeah, sure. Yeah, we have that, and we share it with all the others on the Google Drive. But yeah, we should definitely just put it on the platform and download I'm gonna write that down.
I think, yeah, if you put something on there with that and like say, download template and then confirm like, okay, email here, email it through here. And because I sort of say we're embarking on like we're sort of starting out on our Fablab journey. We're in the planning kind of stage at the moment, but tools like this are really, really useful, I think, for how we're going to be able to better engage our local schools and different ages and the teachers. And I think yeah, I'm sure like teachers around the world, teachers here in Australia, you know, they don't have a lot of time, and it is a bit daunting for a lot of them to kind of step into something like a Fablab and go, well, what do I do with all of this? So I think lessons like this will be really good. But I think through the process of what we're going to do locally here in Australia, I'm sure we'll find other things that are additional workshops. So I'd love to be able to share that with others.
That would be great. Thank you.
Hey, teachers didn't have time anyway. Yes. my aunt's a high school teacher. Yeah, it's tough for them. So I think things that make it as easy as possible, at least in the first step, even if it is at that you know, lower level, that bronze level kind of, you know, at least it starts them and the kids on the journey, I think.
Yeah, and if it can get them over that initial threshold to do more, then that's what we want, of course.
But I think what you have done an excellent, sorry, Claire, you were talking.
I was just saying they dip their toes in the water.
No, I think that what you have done a great work is with this assessment system in the beginning, because this is a recommendation system. I mean, because if you see all the related work like scopes or even the website that they have in Fablab DK, I mean, you can search topic by, you can search projects by topic or by age. So the search criteria is very reduced. So this system makes a little bit more intelligent, and I think the teachers can find more easily the workshops that fits their skills. So I think that is very clever idea, and I think it's very important.
Thank you. Emmanuel and Daniel, do you still have some questions for us, or are you good?
Yeah, I would like to say a very big thank you to you, Yves and Heidi, for the stuff. I really picked a whole lot of stuff from what you've mentioned, because I have a STEM project in Nigeria that I'm doing with kids as well. So I'm just looking here and there to what can be incorporated, because we are still a very, very, very small Fablab. We don't have the capacities or capabilities you guys have, but it's actually good to see what you guys are doing. And I also saw this stuff from Evan 2 days ago. So I'm just picking knowledge here and there from what is being done in Europe to see how to kind of like adapt to the project we're having right now in Nigeria, because we basically just focus more on Arduino, Makey and other stuff that we could literally just use based on our capabilities. So it's good to see the hands-on that you made with the paper. I'm sorry I couldn't really participate because I'm working at the same time, but I've been able to pick some stuff, and I'm actually looking through your website right now, or the website. So I just want to thank you and commend you for the good job you're doing. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Also, I wanted to add that even if you don't have access to a lot of materials or a lot of equipment, that you can adapt in the workshop the level of technology used to a low level, or the level of an open environment to a low level, and still have useful workshops that you can do in class relatively easily. So maybe it's still useful.
Yeah, no knowledge lost. It's really going to be useful. Thank you.
As for me, from Kenya, I want to say thank you for the presentation. It was really cool. I'm actually from one of the newest Fablabs that have joined the network. We are located in Lamu, Kenya. We are a community-based lab and a humanitarian organization called Kenya Red Cross. So what I've heard today is really good and eye-opening, and we shall try to adopt and also follow up on what you're teaching us, so that we can also help the teachers around the community and the community members to also embrace the technology and also transform our education system to a STEM-based system. I'm actually sitting on our exhibition space where we have been able to like pull up some of the things that we can actually make. I don't know if it will be good to just turn my camera around. I don't know if you can see some stuff.
Nice.
Yeah, so we have several machines where we can actually fabricate this kind of commodities, because the community around us is craft-based community. So what we are trying to do is to transform their crafts, which they usually do by hand, to try and show them how we can do the same activities using the digital machines and tools, and also the technology. So that has been a really nice workshop. I say thank you, and maybe we'll continue meeting up in future.
Definitely. Thank you all for your nice words, and please share if you're enthusiastic about it. Please share everything. And Claire, also thank you for that nice feedback for the template. I will put it up there, and then if you have stuff that you would like to share, I will definitely see that and try to get it up there as quickly as possible. I hope you all enjoy other workshops here at Fab 16, and maybe I'll see you somewhere else as a participant. So I'd like to wish you all a good day, and thank you very much for your time and your kind words.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.